Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. Jai Shriman Narayan. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to our Purva Acharyas. I pay my obeisances to our 12 Alvars. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome those that's watching this discourse locally, nationally, and internationally. And I welcome those that's going to be watching this discourse when it is posted on YouTube and the various groups from around the world subsequently. A special welcome to our guest speaker, Pam. You from? Yes, the name of your organization? Mind Haven. And you based at? In Sydenham. Okay. You take care of children.
Yes, I think you might be referring to St. Philomena's.
Yeah.
That's an orphanage, yes, that takes care
You are
of
associated with?
Yes.
With that? Okay. Thank you. So I like to keep it natural like this, so people don't think you and I have colluded in any way. And we thank you for attending this function despite the rain and all the inconveniences that you find around. We applaud what you do, but we would allow you the benefit to discuss comprehensively. We give you no time limit. You are at will. I don't think it will be hard for you. Generally, women, you just allow them to talk and they talk. All right. Just introducing this festival. That photograph you see immediately to my right is my guru, and he gave me an instruction in my mission to create a divine society. And then on my left is our first guru in the system, who re-established this system about 840 years ago. You'll see him there in that photograph next to that violet flower. That body still exists today at the ashram in Sri Rangam in Tamil Nadu. And I had the opportunity to spend 6 nights in the vicinity of that ashram. I also had the opportunity to visit his ashram in south of India. I landed at his ashram on the 5th of September 2018 without any planning. And it was a beautiful night, stars all over the sky, and we landed about just after 2000 hours. As I made my way to the ashram of his birthplace, it began drizzling without any clouds, and I filmed this live on Facebook myself, and I turned the camera towards the sky and showed a starry night, and the drizzle followed us from a place where we were accommodated up right into the ashram. And there were his disciples guarding the ashram, and they informed us that every 5th of the month they celebrate his birthday at the ashram, and he enters around that time that I entered the ashram. And that in any religion, when there's drizzle, it is an acknowledgement of divinity. So I went on Facebook Live, which cannot be edited, and this is evidence. The second part of his evidence, the first part being that his body still exists without any embalming, and his nails grow every 2 weeks. He gets his hair shaved every 2 weeks, and every 6 months they do Abhishekam, where they give him a bath. His mission is respect all, worship your own. Respect all, worship your own. So when the time became convenient for me in 2020, I started the second part of respecting all and worshipping your own here at this ashram during COVID. So obviously we had no organizations, but I planted the seed of social cohesion and oneness in 2020. Just myself, Mataji, Sherwin, and 2 other guys. Chris was here. Chris ran away. Yeah. Okay, Chris was here as well. So I went through Pastor Tobella's TikTok, I think about 2 hours ago, and I read some comments there which shows us how people and what people think of oneness, of social cohesion, of religious tolerance, and some of them are believing that I'm turning this ashram into a church. I'm turning this ashram into a church, and I'm allowing preaching to take place in this church. On that, I left the comments to flow so that we can get a specimen of understanding of social cohesion, religious cohesion, racial cohesion, because we are born thinking we are superior. We are born thinking our religion that we practice is superior. So I have kicked that out of the door. There is no superior religion. There can never be. In this universe. In this universe, there can never be a superior religion. Neither can there be a superior race. There can't be a superior religion. There can't be a superior race. So if we think that Europeans are a superior race, we've been thinking this all the time, and the manner in which the world is ruled and run today, you will see that they themselves believe they're the superior race. They attack any country, they manipulate all the business that's happening in the world, yes or no? Yes? If you are superior, then you also have to be divine. Because superior goes with divinity. God is superior, He is also divine. You can't be superior as a race and non-divine as humanity. And how do we know they are non-divine as humanity? How do we know they are not non-divine as humanity? Because these Western countries are always stealing countries. Last year they tried to steal Ukraine. You understand? So we have to bring these realities, these sensitive situations and unpack it practically on forums like this to show that they can't be superior. If they were superior, they won't be rogues. Because if you steal, you cannot be divine. You understand? So we have to equipoise ourselves in these 23 days when I invite people from other organizations to come to the ashram and celebrate with us. Yesterday we had the director and his wife of KZN Christian Council. That's one of the highest Christian denominations. They running KZN. And you saw how humble he was. You understand? We broke bread together. Now to achieve this, the person inviting have to be equipoised and the person invited has to be equipoised, and then only do you get an absolute synthesis of love and humanity flowing between the two. And every organization that was invited here, like PAM today, is a social welfare organization, yes? Then we had last week with a Christian background. Is it a Christian background? No.
No.
Okay, so St. Philemon's is not...
No, I'm not linked to St. Philemon's.
Okay. Okay, all right. Then we had Hope, South Africa, coming from two directors of a Hindi background, I think, not too sure. And I think we had quite a few. We had an author. So we had an author. Another author has been invited. We had Brahma Kumaris. That's an ashram. Then we have in Sri Sarada Devi Ashram, which is a link of the Ramakrishna. So I think we are equipoised. We bring in ashrams in, we bring in churches in. Yeah, Sheikh Rafiq Hassan is coming both as a spiritual leader and as a social organization. He's killing two birds with one stone, or we are killing two birds with one stone. I'm not too sure, but it fulfills all the requirements for social cohesion. Our guest list, the people that we have invited. So we cannot be accused of turning the ashram into a church. It's unique that I allow you to express yourself 100%, whoever you are. I don't want you to tune in to the ashram's atmosphere. I want you to be who you are. So I ask churches, I ask Muslims, I ask Christians, and I ask Hindus to be who they are. And I also do not ask them to get involved in our rituals, and I tell them that I love them the same whether they get involved or not, because we don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. That is social cohesion, and that is respect all, worship your own, religious tolerance. Then those that attend also have credentials, also have work under their belt, also have a social or a religious CV. And that is the synthesis that we use in the microcosm of an ashram. We've been to 2 churches, and we've been to a Muslim prayer twice. So we're not only inviting you, when you invite us, we also take your invite seriously. In fact, one Muslim function was on the same day and time of our Sunday satsang. So I cancelled the satsang here and I gave that prayer the value it deserves from our perspective. So we are equal, we are equipoised in all that is happening here. So remember, racism is pervasive. It is found in your causal body. It's there. It is there. Religious tolerance or intolerance is thought. It's not pervasive. It's thought. Making your religion superior and other religions inferior, you're not born with that. You are taught that. You are taught. Whatever you are taught can be remedied. Can be remedied. If you teach Yajvan from now that this ashram is the greatest ashram in the world and every other ashram comes beyond it, then that is how he is going to grow up. And there will be a time in his life, if somebody say the Guru is not right, he can give them a few kanpatis. You understand? Because his father taught him wrong. Father taught him wrong. He must be taught that all ashrams in the world are equal to all the churches in the world, which is equal to all the mosques in the world, which is equal to all the synagogues in the world, and maybe in his time 1 or 2 brand new religions may spring up, and he must be taught that that is also equal when it springs up. Then the father and mother would have taught them right. Now this is Sanatan. Aye. Look at my boy. In a previous discourse I said, don't think these young children seated here playing, making naughty, looking at the lights, they are not drinking the transcendental knowledge. And we found this out on quite a few occasions. Alright? So for those on TikTok that said we are allowing preaching to take over the ashram, that is impossible, because Sanatan Dharma should be teaching you. It is a science. Sanatan Dharma is a science, and the science should be teaching you right from the Rig Veda. We are one diverse family. That is our fundamental. We can't change it. We have to live it. Unfortunately, people that proclaim to be Sanatan Dharmis have taken certain portion of the Vedas and they keep it within themselves. So you don't have to wear orange. I don't have to make all my devotees wear orange. I don't have to make all my devotees wear white. I don't have to make my devotees wear pink. I don't have to make my devotees wear blue. My devotees are not sheep. They are human. But I can paint their mind. I can paint their mind with the absolute truth. So this is Sanatan Dharma, which is not a religion. Currently, today, Sanatan Dharma, the practitioners are Indians in the main. The practitioners are Indians in the main. So if you take the Bhagavad Gita teaches you three things. Three main things that a human being must imbibe. So the Bhagavad Gita tells you that you are an individual soul. Bhagavad Gita tells you you are an individual soul. Bhagavad Gita tells you that there is only one Supreme Lord. And Bhagavad Gita tells you that you must fight unrighteousness, whether it is in your family, whether it is in your friend, whether it is your children. Wherever there is unrighteousness, you must stand up for unrighteousness and imbibe righteousness. These three things, can a pastor teach it? Are they teaching it? Pastor is teaching these three things. Molana is teaching these three things. Is the rabbi teaching these three things? Is it taught in all the existing religions in the world? So, because it is a science. Because it is a science. Religion have their uniqueness. Religion have their uniqueness specific to itself. Specific to itself. Okay, so let's do a practical understanding. A person can belong to Christianity and then be converted to Islam. Belong to Christianity and then be converted to Islam. Is that person still a soul? Is there a supreme soul to which that person must connect? And that person must fight righteousness or for righteousness. So these things are common factors in all religions, but its basis come from a library of knowledge called the Vedas. Vedas are not owned by any human being. Vedas were not written by any human being. Vedas were not compiled by any human being. So-called Hindus cannot say Vedas belong to us. Although today they are practicing the Vedas, today at the moment, Hindus are practicing the Vedas in the main, or they are custodians of the Vedas. I don't think there's a whole lot practice in the Vedas. A whole lot practice in the Vedas. Is that right? Because how many Hindus will tell you that their book is the Bhagavad Gita? How many Hindus? I'm preaching for 10 years. I'm preaching for 10 years. Hindus don't know what they are doing. Unfortunately, Hindus don't know what they are doing. One father, one mother, 5 brothers. How many systems? Sanatan Dharma have to be practiced through the Bhagavad Gita. Have to be practiced through the Bhagavad Gita. It is not a religious text. There is nothing religious in the Bhagavad Gita. There is absolutely nothing religious in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita tells you what you, who you are, and who you think you are. Sita, who are you? And who you thought you was yesterday? Yes, you celebrated your birthday yesterday. So, who you are and who you thought you was yesterday.
I'm given a name. I had my birthday.
Who had a birthday yesterday? The real you or the fake you? Yes, because you are not the body. Your body is the vehicle, you are the soul, and the soul was never born. If you read the Bhagavad Gita, and if you followed the Bhagavad Gita, you'll know that the soul was never born, and the soul can never die. You celebrated a birthday for a vehicle that will die. That was born. That was born. So the Guru's job is to make this transition, to take you from your fake identification to your real identification. It's a long journey. We've been doing it together for 155 trillion years, and you still celebrating birthday. So this is the science. This is the science in which all humanity exists. In which all humanity exists. It doesn't matter what's your race, and it doesn't matter what's your religion. It doesn't matter what's your culture, and it doesn't matter what's your tradition. These fundamentals that's in the Bhagavad Gita is experienced by all humanity. I can take this Bhagavad Gita and ask everyone in the world to burn the Bhagavad Gita. To burn the Bhagavad Gita. But the science of the Bhagavad Gita will continue to live. Will continue to live. Like we take all the maths books and physics books and we ask the world to burn it. We ask the world to burn it. Will gravity exist or won't exist? Does gravity depend on you having that knowledge in a book? Similarly, transcendental knowledge does not depend on it being compiled in a book. It continues to manifest in the universe. It continues to manifest in the universe. So this, if you want to say you're a Hindu, then this is what Hinduism is supposed to be. But that following in its legal spiritual terms is Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma. Okay? This is in response to that TikTok where somebody said that I shouldn't be allowing preaching in the and I'm changing the essence of the ashram. The essence of the ashram is I should be allowing every religious person, every racial group, every human being an opportunity to express himself, because the Rig Veda says we are one diverse family. That is the very first scripture. No other scripture in this universe predates the Rig Veda. That is the first scripture. It was in existence before the Zenda Vesta, before the Torah, before the Bible, and before the Quran. The Rig Veda, scientifically proven, is the oldest scripture that's in existence. And what is the fundamental substratum? The world is one diverse family, because God knew He is going to create later other religions, and He already warned in advance that there is going to be diversity. God has to know this, yes or no? God has to know this because His attributes are inconceivable, yes or no? God has to know this. It's His creation, and His attributes are inconceivable. So this is what God would have meant in the Rig Veda that we are practicing at the Sri Narayan Dham. We are practicing in the Sri Narayan Dham. From all the religions, do we know there is a heaven? All religions, we know there is a heaven. We know we are currently existing, and we know if you are unrighteous, you go to hell. We know all of this. Scientifically, we know, according to physical science, that we are over 4 billion. This earth in this partial creation is 4 billion years. Is that a scientific fact? Today we are 8 billion humans. 8 billion? Sorry? Yes? Scientific fact? Okay. From 4 billion years backward, how many humans would have lived up until today, which is 8 billion? Are you understanding? So, souls are continuously existing in human body, and today's count is 8 billion. What is the product of diversity? What you think would be the product of diversity? Why did God create this diversity? Because He wants you to be different? Quickly. Narayan. the plug. No, Dana, Shravan told you don't interfere with anything besides the plug. Dana, leave it. We'll carry on like this. Let us just calm our minds. Calm our minds and think rationally. Think rationally. Why did God create diversity? Everything God does have to be absolute and have to have a purpose. Leave him, Dana. Yeah, leave him. Okay, you had time to think why God created diversity. What would be the intended solution of diversity? Oneness. God has separated us to the extremes so that we can value coming together. God has separated us. He has created different races, different religions, different mindsets, everything different, so that whilst we are in this difference, we use this experience to see the value of oneness. So look, at the very core, every soul is identical. At the very core, every soul is identical, but every human being is different. Even your fingerprints, look at how amazing the Supreme Lord is. How many lines on your thumbprint? We have 8 billion people today. You can't get this print the same in 8 billion people today. If we all take our fingerprints today, 8 billion that's alive, and look at how many lines. You can count the amount of lines, but it will never be the same. This is the uniqueness of the Supreme Lord. But our core existence, the essence of our core existence, is exactly the same to the millimeter. So God has spread us out as far as possible, and on your way in, you only come to the Lord when you come through yourself and everyone else. The gate to the Lord is oneness. The gate to the Lord is oneness. As long as you discriminate racially, religiously, in any other way, rich, poor, you are deceiving yourself, and your religious leaders are deceiving you. You are deceiving yourself, and your religious leaders are deceiving you. All the scriptures state, every scripture, there's a verse on religious and racial tolerance, and it's there because it is a recipe. It is a recipe to reach the gate of the Supreme Lord. So this is all that we are doing. We simply follow in Sanatan Dharma, and I am very, very proud as a guru. It is spiritual pride. A guru cannot have these vices called anger, pride, jealousy. All of these things have to be eliminated before you become a guru. But you can be spiritually proud. And in that sense, that although we are accused, Sanatan Dharmis are accused by Islam and Christianity of idol worshipping, and the preachers state that idol worshipping is satanic worshipping and demon worshipping. We've had the most affluent Muslims and Christians in this ashram that thought not even entering their mind. And this is a world first, is it not? Is it not? Because I prepared that background. I sent into the universe many, many discourses showing how the Bible was misinterpreted when it came to idolatry, and how the Quran was misinterpreted when it came to idolatry. And I explained that idolatry does not mean idol worshipping. Idolatry means do not put another in front of God. So I am saying from the Rig Veda, it is stated that there is only one worshipable God. Rig Veda first, Quran the last scripture. All the scriptures are saying the same thing. One Supreme Lord in the Rig Veda, one Supreme Lord in the Zend Avesta, one Supreme Lord in the Torah, one Supreme Lord in the Bible, one Supreme Lord in the Quran. It means Sanatan Dharmi, the science of Sanatan Dharma, is monotheistic. So these that you see various idols in front here. Scientifically, we pay our obeisances. We pay our obeisances to the ideals behind each idol. We pay our obeisances to the ideals behind each idol. Is it scientific or not? Boy said not. So that is why we have all of these idols, and I'm going to do a discourse and show how these idols are powerhouses and how we infuse power. They are batteries. Like my lights were off from 6 to 8. We had load shedding. Then I got 4 batteries there that assimilate the sun's energy, and then when we need it, we use the inverter, and the inverter gives us the energy in the form of lights, music, gives energy to the fridge. Similarly, these idols, IDOLS, scientifically is a battery of energy. And when you pay your obeisances to that particular idol, you assimilate the ideals in the form of energy that is inserted in the idol. As you cannot see the power in the battery, if I place a battery to you, can you see the power of the battery? But if you can see through the inverter, you were here today from 6 o'clock and you saw the energy that was transferred all over. So what you cannot see, do not make a comment on. Go to the battery maker, ask him what's the process, how does the energy get into the battery, how does the energy leave the battery, and how it transforms into electric energy. You have to find out from the manufacturer. And when it comes to idols, come to the Guru. We know how to construct an idol, and we know how to infuse energy and life into the idol, and we know how to extract that energy from the idol. So I did these discourses. I took on many pastors, and I took on many Molanas, high-ranking pastors, high-ranking Molanas, whoever taught false information, I remedied it. And false information not from my book, false information from the Bible, and false information from the Quran. So whilst we are cozy today in our relationship, I do not keel over for this coziness, because if anyone contradicts whatever is the truth, then I use equal energy to fix that situation. So at this point, Pam, you can come over. And you can give your talk. And you can take any amount of time. You don't have to rush to it. You don't have to stress through it. Thank you.
Namaste, one and all. Namaste, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Pamela Sucharan. You call me Pam. I think you might be a bit disappointed because I actually was not invited. It was Mrs. Cookie Mudley that was invited, who is actually a registered counsellor in the Overport area. She's actually based at St. Philomena's. So that's the reason the name St. Philomena's came about. I love what Guruji has just shared. You certainly have laid the foundation for what Mind Haven is actually all about. Okay, so Mind Haven is a non-profit organization. It's not a faith-based organization. We are all of different faiths. It's an organization that was actually founded like some 10 years ago. I was not a part of it then. I actually volunteer at Mind Haven. I'm a lay counselor as well that volunteers under the supervision of Mrs. Cookie Mudley. So what Mind Haven is actually all about, it's centered around family counseling, it's centered around children, around youth, and the development of our families on a whole. But we focus mainly on our children in schools. Panditji spoke about books and whatnot, so I think the one aspect I'll speak a little about is reading. I think we would have heard over the news about the crisis we're currently having, where a study was done with about 400,000 children globally through 57 countries, and sadly, our country came out last. That's very, very sad. I think our children having a problem with reading is not just because they're sitting in the dark because of load shedding, but I don't want to make light of the situation. It is a serious crisis. In fact, through Mind Haven, the schools that we work with, I wouldn't mention the names of the schools because it's really sad what we've been experiencing at our schools. So I've been through a few of the schools, spending time with children that are having problems. One in particular that I could talk about, At grade 7, you must know a child is ready to go on to high school. At grade 7, you should be, so good at reading different subjects. I mean, you're going to go on to high school and you're going to be studying from your sciences to history to maths. And if we're unable to read, how are we going to cope? But at grade 7, I encountered a child where the principal had given me the child's book, and to see how sad it was that I couldn't understand. So I don't know how the child was able to go from grade 1 right up to grade 7 without being able to write properly. So the child cannot read properly, the child cannot write, but this is what we're experiencing in our schools. So coming back to Mind Haven. So Mind Haven is centered around counseling, as I said. We know that if our children are having hassles, we all have something that we've experienced in our past, in our families. The children are experiencing so much. There's so much of pressure that they're experiencing, whether it's in the home front or at school or amongst friends. But I think, like Guruji mentioned, he spoke about your identity. And I think a lot of our youth are having that hassle. I mean, some of us as adults are still searching for our identity, so we can imagine what our kids are going through. And they certainly are searching in the wrong places. So Mind Haven, like I said, is centered around counseling. What we actually do is if a school approaches us, or a principal approaches us about a certain child having a hassle, we will spend time with the child, we'll counsel the child, and if need be, bring in the family members, the parents, and try and assist them with trying to get their family together where the child can have a stable background. Going back to reading, it's like if a home is a happy home, which is not very easy to accomplish these days, with the unemployment rate, I mean, parents are finding it so hard to just put food on the table, so it's not easy at home. But if we can just try, with our children, just spending that little time with them in the evenings, helping them to read and whatnot. We know that even in what we might think is our stable homes with our children, when we start them off with reading like a little child like this, how long do we spend with them? Our kids, we generally spend teaching them to read just for a few years. Even at school, we don't go on in our grades to continue to learn how to read better. We don't do that. So if you think about it, what are our children experiencing in the home front that they're unable to have that reading just those few years, to have that stable home front where they can learn that? It's really difficult for them. So really, it's about counseling, like I said, and that's what it is. And then it's the same thing with adolescents as well. As our children are leaving school, we want to help them. Mind Haven is an organization that wants to help them, whether they want to go on to university, go on to starting up their own business. We want to help them with career counseling, where they can actually get their bursaries from. It's sad that, so many of us may know about NSFAS, but lots of kids don't know about what their opportunities are out there. We want to actually help them as well if they want to start up businesses. Let them know what the steps are. Guide them with that. So Mind Haven is really, we just feel that if we start off our children with that stable home, I think they'll be able to reach and try and reach there or find their identity sooner. And that's basically what Mind Haven is all about. Reading is just one aspect. We know that there's so many other aspects we can speak about that we all know, from drugs to alcohol to abusive homes. The kids are going through a lot currently. So family counseling, we cover everything. So yeah, if you need any assistance, I think you can get the information from Sita, Vasan, Nadine. We have Nadine at the back as well. Nadine is not well currently. I think she was going to share about St. Philomena's. St. Philomena's is an orphanage. How old is St. Philomena's? When was it founded? Okay, it's like forever. It's been around forever. They do an amazing job. So they're based in Sydenham. And they house, I think it's 30 children or 40 children. It's actually 40 girls that live at the orphanage. And yeah, these children have experienced traumatic backgrounds. It's either the court that has sent them through. But with Mindhaven, which it's not just the schools, it's also the different orphanages in the area. So yeah, we visit all of them, from there's St. Philomena's to St. Teresa's, there's just so many, Like I said, it's not a faith-based organization as well. So yeah, we're here for you. And remember, like we all know, it takes a village to raise a child. So yeah, we want everybody to be a part of it. Thank you. Thank you, Guruji.
Whenever I receive the mic from a speaker that we have invited, my heart melts like butter. All these speakers are gems in our society. Every one of them. And look at Pam today. This is social activism. This is the real thing, Jessica. When you talk about working in society, these are people that sacrifice everything to make just one person happy in their life. Just one. Although you'll run through thousands, Pam, result will be you made one person absolutely, you changed one person, and that's too much. And that's too much. So I had my first encounter, was in 2016, St. Philemon of St. Philomena's. 2016? Yes, and I met Cookie there for the first time. And on that day, I made a commitment, and I adopted 60 children from a school. Name of the school, Vasan? Barracuda. And I named them my angels. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, just before COVID. We gave them the most expensive gift a human can give. We gave them pure love. We tracked their performance. Those that were failing passed with flying colors, both in exams and in sports. And one of our angels was accepted by the Oprah Winfrey School. We practically showed that you don't have to give them everything. Give them what you can afford. They will do the rest. I have thousands of written acknowledgements. It is somewhere in bags. I did 3 movements from that time. Unfortunately, the caretaker, Linda, you know Linda? Yes. Passed on, and they disappeared after COVID, and we cannot find. But I think we're in contact with about 5 or 6 of them, Vasan. Some of them are gone to high school. We met them when they were very young. We were consistent on our side, and they were consistent on their side. And in the one of the elections was national elections. They said they had a banner, vote for Acharyaji. They thought I could be president. They wanted me to be their president. That is the love that we formulated. And there's a very sad video that will pop up one of the days. Is after I embraced them, when I was in the car, they chased the car round the school until the car disappeared. We videoed it. I feel sad. I really do miss them. And I just did it on a 1-hour basis. I can imagine how you feel doing it on a daily basis, you and Nadine in the back. You all are great souls, absolutely great souls. This type of work, ordinary societal people won't understand. The sacrifices you have to go through, the pain and suffering you all see on a daily basis. We only hear about it. You all experience it. You see it. And you also have to counsel, and you also have to get a result. So I think our devotees, many of them are sick. Even my wife, she's sick. She's in bed. She had an injection. Some of them didn't come because of the rain. But I'm sure those that are absent, they watch. They got the luxury of watching this live wherever they are. And through Nadine and your organization, since both of you guys are here together, I think the ashram inviting you here just for window dressing is not why you are here today. We stretching ourselves because we're offering ourselves to everyone that comes here, but through the grace of God it's going to be possible. Whenever you feel that the ashram can do something, don't hesitate. You can get my number directly from Vasan. We don't have protocols. You have to go to red tape, nothing. You just phone the Guru. I'll phone Jessica or Vasan or Vishwadhar and Nilesh, Ashmika, and they'll get things done. All right? So we want to be part and parcel of what you're doing. We want to help you along the way. We may not have everything that you need, but we have also expanded as an organization. I will link you to other social organizations that's around, and maybe interacting and networking. If I can give you one slice of bread, then I've done something, instead of just sitting at home and saying that I am the greatest Indian since 1860. I just want to give one slice of bread. At least I can make a small difference. Jai Shriman Narayan.